NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the JL Day Sports Show. Today, we're talking about the NFC North, one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL. I'm going to do a 3-round mock draft for every single one of these teams in the NFC North. The Bears are on the clock first at number 10 overall. Let's get into it. All right, Bears fans, if we take a look at this roster, right, linebackers definitely an area of concern. D-line definitely needs some upgrades for sure. Some pass rush help. That Montez Sweat, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan in the world. Odin Yingbo, he's another guy who's kind of underperformed. And the interior defensive line needs some help too. Mike Green is a very interesting spot to give this team some immediate juice on the D-line. They went really heavy offensive line-wise in free agency with trades and all kinds of stuff. So where do we go? Armand Membu, the tackle, is very interesting as well. But, man, Mike Green, absolute freaking beast mode, man. I don't know if he fits this scheme, because if we look at this base 4-3 scheme, Mike Green's definitely more of a 3-4 edge, in my opinion, right? So the guy I'm looking at, guys, Kenneth Grant. Fits the size, 6'3", 339. He's big enough where he could potentially play nose for a 3-4 defense or just be an interior defensive lineman in a 4-3 scheme. He's quick enough. I think he's got really, really good get off the ball. Very interesting spot for him. I'm going Kenneth Grant to the Bears at number 10 overall. Next, we got the Green Bay Packers up at 23. Lots of different spots they could go. I love Matthew Golden, man. He's an absolute freak show, man. I love Matthew Golden. I just rewatched this tape again, and I think he has the ability to be an X-wide receiver, even though he's only 6 foot, 195 pounds. I don't think he's relegated to the slot at all. I think he could go all different types of places all over the offense. He can line up the X, the Y. I think he can line up anywhere. I'm going Matthew Golden, 23 overall to the Packers. He's one of my favorite, if not my favorite wide receiver in this entire draft class. The way he runs routes, probably better than anyone in this draft class. Next up, Vikings at 24 overall. D-back, definitely a big concern for me, for this team. But Walter Nolan is on the board, man. He could definitely get mocked to this Vikings team. They need interior defensive line help. When we take a look at this roster, guys, the interior defensive line is not very good at all whatsoever. They need help. All three of these positions. And guess what? Walter Nolan can play all three of these positions. He goes to the Vikings at 24 overall. Now, 28 overall, we got the Lions. Lots of spots they could go, in my opinion. I think they need a guard. If you take a look at this lineup, guard is definitely an area of concern for me. Christian Mahogany, he only played 142 snaps. He's a 6th-round pick. They're not glued to him. And then Graham Glasgow, he's just not that dude. Just not that dude. Been up and down his whole career. He'll be 33 by the start of the season. I'm going with the best Swiss Army knife offensive lineman in this draft class, Gray Zabel. Goes to the Lions at 28 overall. Now, Bears fans, you're up in the second round, 7th overall in the second round. Then we're up 2 picks later at 41 overall, right? So we got 39 and 41. Bears fans, I think this is a spot where we could upgrade the running back position. We could go Judkins. We could go Cam Skattebo. But you know what? With Ben Johnson, I think a guy like Cam Skattebo could be really, really interesting. He went the Sonic and Knuckles route when they were with the Lions, right? But Cam Skattebo is a tough in-between-the-tackles runner. He's an excellent catcher of the football. I also like Trevion Henderson, man. He could definitely be a very interesting spot for the Bears because he's awesome at catching the ball out of the backfield. He's a really good blocker, too, so he could stay on the field all 3 downs. You know what? I love Trevion Henderson's speed. He's super talented. 5'10", 208. Trevion Henderson goes to the Bears at 39 overall. Next up, we're drafting 41 overall, Bears fans. I wanted to get that solid running back early because you never know because he fits this scheme so well. And he's not going to be there when we're picking at 72 overall. He's not. All right, we take a look at this Bears team. Where could they possibly go? Safety could definitely use an upgrade. Kevin Byard, he's 32. Brisker has underperformed in his rookie contract so far, the second round pick. He's in his last year of his contract, right? Safety, linebacker is definitely a position of need, in my opinion, in this base 4-3 scheme. So Demetrius Knight makes a lot of sense. He's the best linebacker on the board, but we could probably go there later in the draft and get an exceptional player. Xavier Watts definitely makes some sense. Edge defender Landon Jackson makes some sense as well, right? We look at this, not a lot of juice on the edge, man. And I love myself some Landon Jackson. He's an athletic freak, man. I'm doing it. The Bears he's really getting mocked towards the Bears. 36% of drafts he's going there. I agree. He fits that scheme perfectly. Athletic monster. I love it. Now, Packers fans, you're up 54 overall. In the first round, we went wide receiver Matthew Golden. Take a look at this roster, guys. Linebacker. I always like to look at nickel. Edge Cooper and Walker are the linebackers. Quay Walker, he's first round pick in 2022, but he's not been good. I loved Edge Cooper in the draft process last year, one of my favorite players. D-line is a huge area of concern. An edge rusher, right, could definitely be interesting in this scheme as well. It's a base 4-3 defense, but in nickel, they got the outside linebackers. They're kind of a scheme versatile unit, right? So where do we go here? Second pick, 54 overall. Shamar Turner on the board. Judkins on the board. Jack Sawyer. Woo, baby Jack Sawyer. I love myself some Jack Sawyer. One of my favorite edge defenders. 6'5", 260. Going to be 23 years of age. He could add a little bit of size to help set that edge in the run game too. He comes into camp 6'5", 265, 270. He's a monster in a 4-3 scheme. Jack Sawyer. I love that pick. Now, Lions fans, you're up 60th overall in the second round, right? When we take a look at this roster, wide receiver, guard, edge, linebacker, this roster is really, really good, man. So we're just building depth. I wouldn't hate another wide receiver in this room as well. Maybe another edge defender to go opposite of Aiden Hutchinson makes some sense. Is there an edge defender that we like? Omar Norman Lott, a guy I really like. D-line spots. Very interesting player, right? Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson, a lot. Kyle Kennard from South Carolina. He's a monster. I do like Kyle Kennard. 6'5", 254. I do like that. Ben Morrison. I love Ben Morrison. He's one of my favorite players in this draft class. Josiah Stewart from Michigan. High motor guy. Very, very dangerous off the edge. Very physical. Super explosive. I think he matches up with Aiden Hutchinson so well, man. I love that pick there. All right. Now, Bears fans, you're up 72 overall, right? Here's our pick so far. We went D-line, running back, edge, right? So now where do we go? Where do we go now? The roster looks pretty solid, Bears fans. Linebacker, definitely a spot that I'm looking at adding for sure. Cole Kmet, the tight end, I don't know. I'm not sold on him. Second round pick. Never really, I don't know. Not the production I love, right? Adding another offensive lineman makes some sense, but Chris Paul Jr. on the board, one of the better linebackers in this class. That linebacker room for the Bears, as you guys can see, not very good at all whatsoever. Even if we put them in nickel, Edwards and Edmonds, not very good. I think Chris Paul is a plug-and-play starter. I love that pick, 72 overall. All right, Packers fans, you're up 87 overall. Our pick so far, we went wide receiver and edge. Now, we're up 87 overall. This is a best player on the board type of scenario. Offensive line help. Could add some depth there, man. Let's take a look at these tackles. I want to add some left tackle depth. Wyatt Millum is here. Charles Grant. He's my favorite player left on the board, 6'4", 300. He could be a tackle or a guard. He just upgrades this unit all over the place. I'm going Charles Grant. All right, next up, 97 overall Minnesota Vikings fans. You're on the board. Our picks so far, no second round pick. Walter Nolan in the first round really upgrades that D line. And in the third round, we're 97 overall. Adding a running back could make some sense for us here. With the running back that they have currently on the roster, Jones is an older guy. He'll be 31 by the end of the season. You know, he's been excellent his whole career, though. Dude's got some serious juice. Damian Martinez. I love Damian Martinez. He's an absolute savage. I do like that pick. Ransom, the safety. That's interesting for the Vikings as well. At the safety position, Josh Metellus, 6th-round pick, not very good. And then we got Harrison Smith. He's 50,000 years old. They need to upgrade at safety tremendously, right? And Ransom is a very good safety, solid player in my opinion. Lathan Ransom from Ohio State, 82 overall grade this year, solid player, excellent run defender. I think Ransom could definitely upgrade either one of these positions depending on where you want to play him. I love that pick. And now, the last pick for us, 102 overall for the Detroit Lions, right? We definitely don't need a running back for sure. Sebastian Castro, the safety, not so good of a year in 2024, but was excellent in 2023. Definitely seen some regression there. Deion Walker, interesting D lineman from Kentucky. I do like his tape. Man, Isaiah Bond is on the board. Adding another wide receiver could be interesting in this room as well. Ashton Gillott, oof, man, he's a really, really good edge defender. Our picks so far, we went Josiah Stewart and Gray Zabel. When looking at this Lions roster, man, they got good safeties, good linebackers. It's just like, where do you go? I mean, I guess we could add a little depth at the interior defensive line position, maybe cornerback, just add another guy in that room. So let's take a look at cornerbacks. Who's on the board? Parrish, Jacob Parrish from Kansas State, still on the board. Pretty solid player, 5'10", 198. Interior defensive line, definitely another spot we could upgrade. Deion Walker is on the board. Peebles is on the board. I do like Deion Walker. 6'6", 345. Big boy. Big boy. I don't know if he really fits this scheme. He's more of a 3-4 end in my opinion. Man, when I'm looking at this board, it's just like, man, where do we go? Not a lot of places that of need for this roster. So best player available. Do we go another edge like Oladejo? He's a pretty solid player. It's tough, man. Sanker. We have a pretty good safety room as well. Jamari Caldwell from Oregon, very solid player as well. One of my favorite players. Quick feet, and he's a nose tackle though, so he's not going to fit this scheme at all whatsoever. Mello Dotson, the corner on the board. Pretty good player. 6'1", 190. I like his length. I want to add a little bit of length to this cornerback room. I'm going Mello Dotson in the 3rd round for the Detroit Lions. All right, NFC North fans, let's take a look. The Bears get Kenneth Grant at number 10. And then we got the Packers. Matthew Golden, excellent pick. Packers fans are going to love that. And then next we went Walter Nolan to the Vikings. They need D-line help in the middle of that defense for sure. And then Detroit Lions get Gray Zabel, one of the best. He might be the best offensive lineman in this draft class, in my opinion. He could grow in the tackle and be a day one starter at guard. I love that pick. All right, guys, there's my 3-round mock draft for the NFC North. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.